Well, let me pick up on that, Rita, because we do like to have good news on this show. We do like to talk about when people do push back. And we're seeing in America a couple of instances this week. One was in Kansas, where they have passed a bill to define a woman as someone who is born female. So to answer Alex Antics and others' question, what is a woman? Well, in Kansas, they've come out and given it a definition. And surprise, surprise, it is someone who is born a female. Similarly, we have in Tennessee, Rita, this week, we've had legislation brought in to prevent that kind of transgender hormonal surgery, et cetera, being used against minors or being used to transition minors in Tennessee. So two instances where, because of the outrage of parents, predominantly and grandparents, speaking up, you get changes happening. That has to happen here in Australia.
Not only that, in Texas, the University of Texas system has put a pause on all of its diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI programs because of legislation passed by Republican Governor Greg Abbott in Texas. Again, this shows that you can, if you want to, pass legislation, use all of the levers of government control and bureaucracy and legislation that the left are absolutely expert at, and use them to at least start to undo some of this.
And
the models are out there.
Yeah, if Dominic Perrottet wants to win this forthcoming election in New South Wales, he needs to do precisely that. Start standing up and saying, we will stop the madness, the leftist madness that's going on through bureaucracies and corporations and schools. He's got to stop it if he wants to win the election.
I guarantee he won't.
Well, I'm just giving him the benefit of the advice. I'm sure he's watching the show. Peter Dutton, same thing. Here's your ticket. Start fighting against this stuff if you want to win. But we had good news, but we've got to go back to the bad news. And the reason this is so bad, wait for this. Here's Marxism literally being injected straight into the medical profession. Young doctors being, instead of reciting the Hippocratic Oath, this is in America, they are being forced to recite this Marxist garbage. Have a listen. This is real.
We enter the profession of medicine with appreciation for the opportunity to build on the scientific and humanistic achievements of the past. We also recognize the acts and systems of oppression affected in the name of medicine. We take this oath of service to begin building a future grounded in truth, restoration, and equity. I vow to use this knowledge to uplift my patients and disrupt the injustices that harm them as I forge the future of medicine. I promise to self-reflect diligently, to confront unconscious prejudices, and to develop the skills, knowledge, and character necessary to engender an inclusive, equitable field of medicine.
They're not marching through the institutions. They own the institutions. They're occupying them, and they are taking every individual down with them. Those are kids. Those are students who have graduated to be doctors, and now they're making an oath of Marxist propaganda, Rita.
You're absolutely 100% right. The march through the institutions is complete. They're in the private sector, they're in the public sector. It's not just academia anymore. This is what happens when one side doesn't fight, when it thinks it's above the culture wars, where it thinks it can just focus on super policy and economics and ignore the ideological fight. These are consequential issues. This is about our culture, our values as a country. And if Conservatives don't start getting involved, there won't be much left to conserve.
And the thoughts of what those doctors will be like is terrifying.